You're listening to the Core Step Podcast with your host, Jibbin. This podcast is the Battle Spirits Saga Podcast with the latest news and some tomfoolery sprinkled in. Yo! There we go. Welcome to the Core Step Podcast. I am your host, Jibbin. I should hope that you know who I am from the channel that you're watching this on, or if you're watching it on Spotify, hi. Today I have a guest with me to help me with the first episode, because I don't really know how this is going to go. But Frost, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Frost. I've been playing this game for probably about the last month and a half or so at this point, and considering that it's not even released yet, I've probably put in about 3 to 7 hours every day trying to get this down. Used to play Magic competitively and have played a bunch of other card games throughout the years, just to give you a little bit of background.
Just to quickly elaborate for everyone that's listening and not watching the videos, this is a sort of visual podcast as well, so there will be stuff popping up on the screen if you've watched it on YouTube. If you're watching it through Spotify, then I mean, I'll try my best to describe what's going on, but not got a very good track record of describing shit. So anyway, let's move into the first segment. This is I'm gonna start. It's called Trash or Staple, but boss edition. So each card is going to be a boss card, and we're going to decide whether it's trash or whether it's a staple. And if you are watching on YouTube, comment down below if you think we're right, wrong, if you think our opinions don't matter, the normal stuff. But yes, so what is the first card, Frost?
So the first card is Dinosaur Harrier Turbo Rex. It is a 6-cost white card with 3 reduction. It has Ascend 3, meaning that you have to, in addition to paying its cost, sacrifice a 3 or higher cost creature in order to summon it. It has 2 abilities. The first ability triggers at level 1 when it is a 5,000 BP creature that allows, during the opponent's attack step, it allows for you to select one of your opponent's spirits at the start of the step, and if possible, that spirit must attack first this step. At level 2, it is an 8,000 BP creature, and it gets, when this spirit attacks, select one of your spirits, your opponent's spirits, that does not have Ascend, meaning that you have to sacrifice a creature to play it, and return it to their hand. At level 3, the only thing it gets at that point is another 1k bump, taking it up to a 9,000 BP creature. It is also a machine beast, which means that it can be used in conjunction with some other cards.
So what are you thinking?
To be honest, with this particular card, I think it's very mid. I don't think that this... I think it's mid. Yeah. The reason for that being, in white, you're either trying to go for control or you're trying to go aggro. There's not too much in the mid-range there. If you're trying to go aggro, then you having to sacrifice one of your creatures to put something else on board hurts the overall strategy. And if you're trying to get the bounce effect, you have to put more cores on it than if you were going to just make a wider board to try and push in. If you're playing a control, I think that this might have a spot. You're only going to put in 1 or 2 though, and that's mainly so that you can, do that bounce effect, make it a little bit more awkward for your opponent's cards to attack in. But I think it's mid. I don't think that you put more than 2 of this in a deck, and I don't think that you necessarily try to build your whole deck around this.
Okay,
there are some cards that synergize with it, but I don't think that it's top tier.
I will agree with you on not putting any more than 2 in your deck. However, think about this for a second. Select, when this spirit attacks, so that's every single time that it attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits that does not have Ascend and return it to their hand. If you have a Mecha Wing Duck down or something like that, that is literally every card that I can think of right now except for Nova.
That is true. Those are the... Nova and this card are the only 2 creatures with Ascend
that I can think of.
And I will give you this. This is a very good counter to a very popular card, Maduke, that we will get to later.
Exactly.
But But in a control deck, most people are going to be playing Armored Dragon, Enterprise. They're going to be playing Namengard. This thing is attacking. It's not defending. The only thing that you can maybe do to make that a little bit better is if you have Buffalong Bill, and so then it's when it's a blocking or attacking, but then you also have to have Namengard out so that everything untaps. And at that point, you're just trying to get too many things all together at once.
So I am going to say that this is a good card, and yes, I do disagree on a fair amount of your points, but I don't think it's high enough to be a staple card just yet. I think set 2, maybe set 3, when some more cards come out and they give it some more synergize, I think it'll be an absolute staple. But right as we sit right now, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to have to fall in the trash category.
Like I said, I agree with your points. I think that as the game progresses and we move forward, I think that it could go into a higher tier. Right now, for set 1, I think it's got to go in the trash tier.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rex. I'm sorry. All right,
we'll come back to you later, buddy.
Let's move on to card number 2.
Card number 2 is Wonderland Alice. She is a 6-cost, 3 reduction spirit who has 3k BP at level 1 and no abilities at level 1. At level 2, however, she's 6k and gains, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits, reduce its BP by 1,000 for each spirit you control during this turn. And at level 3, which is only 3 cores, during either attack step, if you control 3 or more spirits, when this spirit would be destroyed, you may place a core from the void onto it. Keep it on the field exhausted instead. I personally think that this card is a staple in almost every single yellow deck.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna. If it was any other color with that effect, I would call it a trash. But yes, because it's yellow and you can just swarm the board with yellow, I think, yes, that firmly falls into staple. Yeah. Especially if you have a full board. Let's say you have 6 creatures out on the field and then you play her. Whenever that spirit attacks, that's 6,000 BP. Like, and that's
just gone.
That's one, no matter what. For instance, Sigworm, 4,000 and 6,000 BP.
Even Supernova at level 1 is only a 5,000 BP creature, meaning that if he's not leveled up, you swing her in, he's dead.
And it's also the fact as well, like, it can't even be destroyed on crackback, because you can just place a core from the void onto it to keep it.
Like, yeah, it's during either attack step. So if you need her to, you can use her to block, you can use her to swing. She is so flexible and just, I think, can fit into just about any yellow deck.
She is so cheap as well. Like, she comes down to 3 cost, with all her reduction out, it's like 3 cost, and then another 3 to get to level 3 at 7,000 BP. It's too cheap not to be running, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I agree, especially because if you're running a swarm deck, her abilities trigger and you get the most out of them when you are playing multiple creatures and you have them all on board. You could play this in a Fabled Beast deck. You could play this in a 2-cost deck. You could play this in pretty much any yellow deck, especially any kind of a yellow swarm deck. Heck, I would even play this in a Luster deck.
Yep. I think, I don't think we need to agree on anything else, because that's a staple in my opinion. Straight up.
I agree.
Staple?
Absolute staple. Absolute staple.
I kind of, let's move on to the third card then. One? I'll let you keep reading them, because you're killing it.
All right. The next card is Jurassic King Giganorex. He is an 8-cost, 6 reduction pterosaur. And this guy has some crazy effects. The first one, when summoning this spirit from your hand, you may count each symbol on your pterosaur or emperor beast spirits that are on the field as 2 symbols when calculating cost reduction. So basically, instead of having 3 needing 6 cards to get you the reduction on this thing to 2, you need 3 cards, and this thing becomes a 2-drop, which is nutty. At level 1, it is a 5,000 base power creature that has, if you have only Pterosaur or Emperor Beast spirits on the field, treat this spirit as level 3. So that in and of itself just bumps this card's value up, I feel.
Let's be real as well. You're not going to be
2.
running this in any other deck except for a Pterosaur / Emperor Beast.
Yes, so that's exactly.
So it's going to be coming out at level 3 no matter what.
Yeah. So just now to clarify, level 2 is 3 cores. It is 7,000 BP at that point, and it starts to gain Confront at this point. Now, for those of you who don't know, Confront is when this spirit attacks, it gains Confront, and your opponent must block if able. So it can start clearing your opponent's boards out, which is a really cool effect. And its level 3 effect is when this spirit attacks, all of your spirits gain 3,000 BP during this turn. Now, what's important to note about that is it's when this spirit attacks, meaning that you have to swing with this one first in order to bump up the other creatures.
It still adds. So what are you thinking then? Is it staple or is it trash?
In a Pterosaur deck, I think it is a staple. In anything else, I think it's garbage.
I was just about to say the exact same thing, so I am going to dub this one trash.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too much. It's too reliant on being in a Pterosaur / You can't use it in anything else, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and the biggest thing that I will say with this is that this card is almost a trap. And the reason that I say that is that you are so tempted because you're only playing this in a Pterosaur deck, right?
Yep.
So you're only going to have Pterosaur, so you're really tempted to only leave 1 core on this guy. And you really want that 3,000 BP bump, so you're always going to want to swing with that thing first.
Yep.
Any purple core reduction is just going to wipe this thing out because you're going to be tempted to only have 1 core on it, because most Pterosaur decks are going to want to go wide as opposed to going tall.
Yep.
Which means that this guy you're going to only want to play 1 core on him because you're getting all the best effects from it. And as soon as they just do a core drain or a core theft, anything like that, it's just dead.
Get Balgador, and then what was the other?
Core theft and core drain.
That was it, yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, unfortunately, as much as it does kill me because I do love this card, I'm gonna have to give it.
Oh, I do too.
I'm gonna have to give it trash. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's gonna be trash. I cannot physically put staple on that card specifically because you can only use it in 1 deck.
Only 1 deck, and it's so easily removed.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the 4th card. 4th and final. We got it from purple. Pretty sure people can kind of guess where this one's going. But, Frost?
Yeah. All right. We are talking about Grand Underworld Trio Queen Maduke. Now, this card is a pretty hotly contested card among a lot of different people. Because some of its effects are absolutely nutty. It is an 8 cost with 4 reduction. It is an undead and a serpent, which can synergize with some other cards. At level 1, it is a 5,000 BP creature or spirit. When one of your spirits with curse or blood curse reduces your opponent's life, place the lost life cores into the void instead of their reserve. Which, that in and of itself is pretty devastating. It actually reduces some of the value on Absolute Ice Shield and some of those other cards that you can use to regain your life. At level 2, it costs 3 cores and it gains Blood Curse. Blood Curse is probably one of the nuttiest abilities I've seen in this set. Blood Curse. When this spirit would be destroyed by your opponent, you may place 1 core from your opponent's life and 1 core from this spirit into their owner's trash to keep this spirit on the field refreshed. Whew, that is an ability right there. So basically, if this thing swings in and you block with something bigger, you take one of the cores off of this creature, and you take one of the cores from your opponent's life, which remember, when one of your spirits with curse or blood curse reduces your opponent's life, place the lost core into the void instead of the reserve.
Well, let's be real
meaning
here.
that they don't get that one back.
In a cursed deck.
I'm sorry?
Let's be real here. You're running this card in a cursed deck.
Yeah.
This
is your top end in a curse deck. Especially because it's level 3 ability, which it gets with 6 cores. During your attack step only, all of your spirits with curse gain blood curse.
I love it how you say that. Like, during your attack step only, like, that entire effect isn't broken. Like...
Well, that's important, though, because most of the cards that have curse have 3,000 or less BP, even at level 2.
Yeah.
And you know what hits 3,000 BP?
Burning Force.
Yes. That's a 2-for-1.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Oh, and it's also during your attack step. That doesn't mean that it's during your opponent's, meaning your opponent can still swing in.
Yeah, very true.
So it's good at making it so that your opponent doesn't want to block, but you can still Ice Shield to end their turn. Yeah. You can still block with something that's smaller, get rid of it. This card is still susceptible to things like Core Drain and things like Core Theft, anything that's going to reduce the number of cores on this, where your other cards are not going to be getting that benefit anymore.
Yeah. So what's your verdict?
In my opinion, it only goes into a curse deck. And if it is only going into a curse deck, as we said with Terrasar, then it is not a staple.
It's not a staple.
I think in the future, if there's more, I think in the future, if there's more support for curse, and they maybe get some other cards, I think it could be, but I don't think it's a staple except in a curse deck.
Well, I will just say this: I absolutely despise this card with a passion. I absolutely hate Maduke. So, just straight biased, I'm just going to say it's trash. But yeah, your points are very valid, and yes, it doesn't go into staple for the fact of that it's the same reason as the Terrasor deck. It's just one thing. There's a lot of outs for it that people are now figuring out, and I feel like it's just there's not enough of a card pool right now to actually make this thing a staple. So yeah, I'm going to say it's trash.
It's so core heavy to be able to play this card. 4 cores, even if you have full reduction, 4 cores, and then 6 to get the biggest benefit from the whole thing.
The at minimum is 10 cores.
And the only time you're getting the most benefit from this card is when you have a full board.
Yep. So that's 10 cores, which means, plus a full board.
Yes. So, like I said, I think in the future, but most curse decks are playing pretty low to the ground. They're not trying to play big creatures. They're playing low to the ground, meaning that you're trying to swarm. This might be a big boss to try and get a final push at the end, but yeah. Other than that, I can't say it's a staple.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on there. It is trash. So, yes. Well, that was trash or staple. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I might make that a weekly thing. It won't just be boss cards. It will be other cards. Like next episode, I'll probably do like a burst, like trash or staple, and then we'll do like a magic trash or staple, so on and so forth. But let's move in to the next topic. All right. So, big elephant in the room. Launch events. You're going to Vegas.
I am.
I am going to London. Oh, by the way, anyone listening, if you want to say hi to me at London, feel free to. I'm not going to sit there and be antisocial. But yeah, what's your feelings on it? How are you feeling? How are you are you optimistic? Are you shitting yourself?
Not really. I'm kind of going in with a mentality of like, I think it's going to be a fun event. I'm hoping to meet a lot of really cool people there. I do think because there is such a high cash prize for people that there are probably going to be some like super tryhards who are going to try and call you out on every single thing they can because they're going to try and DQ you, especially if they think that they're going to lose to you.
Yep.
Which is going to be super annoying. Hopefully, it doesn't leave a sour taste in people's mouths, but it's just something you got to be ready for. But I'm hoping overall to be able to chill. And in terms of like how I think I'll do in the event, I don't necessarily know if I'll top. It'd be nice, but we'll see what ends up happening when we get there.
Yeah, you're kind of in the same boat as me. I hope I sort of get a decent placement in it. If not, it's just I'm there for the experience. Doing a massive vlog for the YouTube channel, just meeting loads of new people, going to. It's kind of like a once in a blue moon event, if you know what I mean, and especially with the prize pool the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a card game that obviously there was the Japanese version that was around for a long time, but because it's a brand new card pool, not as many people know about this. Like, it does feel like at this point in the game, even if you have not actually started learning that, you definitely could learn more about the game and pick it up enough to be able to go. Even if you end up buying some of the starter decks, you should be able to at least have fun with it. I'm not going to say you're going to place or top or anything like that, but if you want to go and have some fun, then I think that it could be a really cool event. If you're trying to go and win some cash money, it's going to be a bit more stressful for you.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to struggle against especially in Vegas, I feel. You're going to struggle against the whales. There's going to be a lot of people that are buying a lot of cards. We can only speculate as well what kind of cards that people are going to pull, because we still don't fully know what the card rates are. So a lot of speculation around people.
Yeah, and with the card pool, from what I've heard, and this is all hearsay, it sounds as though
we
the
say
extras...
right now is just what's the word? Speculation?
Yes.
There's been no concrete evidence on any of the things that we're talking about.
Exactly. Nothing. Yeah. This is all just speculation and hearsay and rumors and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but from what I've heard, the X rares are going to replace the rares in packs, meaning that things like Absolute Ice Shield and Beldegor and things like that are pretty hot cards are going to be harder to come by. Now, if you end up going and buying 8 cases worth, then you'll have a pretty decent shot of getting the playsets that you want.
Yeah, you should be good.
Yeah, but that's, spending
that's spending
$900 roughly. Yeah.
Like, even if you're USD or Great British Pounds, that is over $1,000 on cards. I know people are going to do that, and there will be a few people that whale out. Real quick on the term of whale, it means when you buy, you're gathering up everything pretty much. Kind of like how they do when they eat shrimp. That's what the term
is. Basically you're trying to gobble up as much as you can, and you do so by spending tons and tons of money. Yeah. It's essentially pay to win. You're a pay to win player.
But I hope and pray that Ice Shield isn't as prevalent, because I really do feel like Ice Shield as a card, this could be a very controversial topic, but I feel like Ice Shield as a card is a very no skill sort of handicap to a lot of decks, and it's a lot of ways out that feels very cheap sometimes, if you know what I mean. Like,
well,
Ice Shield agree and I disagree. Game.
Oh yes, 100% Ice Shield can win a game, and I will agree and disagree with you at the same time. I think Ice Shield is almost essential against a lot of aggro decks.
That's
otherwise
exactly what I mean.
All aggro decks would just win.
That's what. Well, yeah, I get that. The aggro needs to be sort of like clamped down a little bit, but it's the fact that Ice Shield can literally. Well, it can win you the game, if you know what I mean. I feel like a card that can just be played for me to attack and then you to win the game. I feel like it's a very, I don't know. It just leaves a salty taste in my mouth. Not saying that Ice Shield isn't a staple and it needs to be in everyone's deck, because it does, because it's that powerful. but I just feel like a lot of the newer players that come to this tournament that are just looking to have some fun or something like that, if they do run into an ice shield or something, that's going to feel very horrible for them. Like, we're used to it at this point because we've been practicing, we've been playing, we know what it is. As soon as we see it, we're kind of like, all right, yep, I've got to deal with this, and then we move on. But the newer players that come into it, they'll hit the ice shield, they'll swing everything, thinking they've won, and then the ice shield will pop, and then they'll just get absolutely destroyed on the crackback.
No, and that is 100% true. I agree with that. But that's also where there's a level of skill that comes in with the game.
Well,
I think that the game has a pretty low floor for like your barrier to entry, but the skill ceiling is pretty high. And, you know, Ice Shield is one of those things where, yes, it's pretty much a staple in almost every deck. And that's going to make the card soar in value, especially at the launch event. Like, you're going to be able to sell an Ice Shield at the launch event for like $100.
Oh, imagine if you get an alt art Ice Shield.
Oh yeah, like, easy over 100.
You've paid for your entire trip, whether you place or not, with that one card. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that thing is going to be absolutely monstrous.
No, it's going to be insane trying to get a playset if you don't happen to pull it. I will say, for those who are beginners, if there's something in the burst, it doesn't matter what color they're playing. There's a chance that it's Absolute Ice Shield. If they're at 1 life, then you're good on that card. But also remember that Absolute Ice Shield can still be played from the hand, even if it's not set in the burst, to end your phase. If they block with one thing and you don't get through, they can just end the attack phase.
See?
So it's still not even useless.
See?
Even when they're down to 1 life.
Even when its condition cannot physically be met, it is still obnoxious as hell. Like,
oh yeah, it is. But that's the thing. Like, it's the card is what is needed to maintain the health of the game. However, with how important that card is for pretty much every deck, especially if you're playing a competitive deck, then it is a card that is an absolute necessity. And so it's going to be probably the most valuable card of set 1.
Oh yeah, 100%, without a doubt. I don't think anyone listening is sitting there disagreeing with you at that point. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of new players are going to feel very cheated out and they won't enjoy the game, if you know what I mean. But then again, like you said, it's just part of the game. It's what happens. You got to deal with it, move on. But yeah.
And any player who's probably played for more than like 2 games will have probably seen or at least heard of Absolute Ice Shield in some capacity.
Yeah. It's that much of a staple card, to be fair. What do you think of the prizes?
The top end of the prizes is really high. I think some of the things that they're giving away in terms of like the top 100 and things, like deck boxes, playmats.
But you know what, for the listeners, I'll quickly explain what they are. For participating in the event, so this is just turning up, you just enter the event. Participation, you get an event pack, which is 1 single card, a core case with the Battle Spirits logo on it, and a life counter. If you are to reach top 128, you get 3 event packs, the life counter, and the core case. Now you start getting up to a bit more. So top 32, you get 7 event packs, the core case, you get a finalist card set, an all hollow deck, so it's a full, I'm going to assume a red deck, maybe a Nova deck or something like that, without Nova. Everything is hollowed out. You get the core case, you get 2 core cases, different ones like BSS logo and the Battle Spirits Saga's logo, and the life counter as well. Top 16, you get everything that I've just said, plus the black playmat, which I will say is probably one of the cleanest playmats I've seen so far. Top 4, everything that I just said, plus the deck box, the leather deck box, which looks really nice. Top 2 is you get the top 2 card, which I'm pretty sure is the Maduke card, isn't it?
Yeah, Maduke is the top.
Yeah, it's the Champions card. And everything else that I just said as well before that. And then the Champion, which is going to be the main, whoever's just won the whole 15 grand or 15,000, I'm pretty sure it is.
It's 25 in the US.
That's 25 in the US. In the EU, it is a whopping $15,000, and that is the Champion Metal Soul Core, which looks absolutely dope. The Champion playmat, the Maduke card, the top 16 playmat, 7 event packs, a finalist card set, an all holodeck, a deck case, a core case, or 2 core cases, and a life counter. Plus, obviously, the 15 grand or the 25 grand, depending on where you go. So, what are you thinking of that? Do you reckon
cash prizes?
Do you reckon that is going to be the cool thing about it, or is it going to just be like the money side of things? If you know what I mean? Like,
for me personally, or for everyone?
For everyone.
I think that most people that are going are probably in it for the cash money. Most of the people that I've talked to, they're either there and like here for like the game, like the longevity of it, trying to get into a new game, or they're just trying to get into it for the money at the end. So there's like the 2 sides of it. I'm personally more interested in talking to the people who want to be a part of this game, want to be a part of the community, like for the long haul.
Yeah.
However, I do see why there are a bunch of people who are in it for trying to get all the money. Like, it's a lot of money. That could turn some people's lives around.
That's life-changing kind of money, to be fair.
Yeah, so I totally get it. Not ragging on anybody who's in it for the money. I get it. But in terms of the prizes and everything, I think that they are good prizes. I think that the playmats that they are giving out are really nice, but what I think that they should have added for everyone who came in is that playmat, maybe not necessarily like a nice playmat, maybe even just like a paper playmat, but where it has all of the steps and everything, your start step, core step, draw step, refresh, main, attack, flash, no flash, end. I think that is something that would be really nice to give everyone, like when they got there.
Yeah.
Just because that would help with people like remembering what it is that they need to do, the order that it goes in, because there's going to be some, sweaty tryhard that's going to be like, you drew a card before your core step, you don't get that core.
Yeah. I think what I'm quite surprised at is they haven't done any sleeves.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised about that. I would not be surprised if they sold sleeves there.
That would be very
I
cool.
have a feeling that they're going to try and sell the sleeves there as opposed to trying to buy it, because a lot of people are going to want to sleeve their decks before they play them in the tournament.
I'm not going to lie.
Another way that they can make money.
I was looking at some sleeves myself, but at the same time, I was like, do I want to spend more money on sleeves when they probably will be selling them at the event? Right.
See, that's one other thing I was thinking too, was, okay, do I want to buy sleeves like from my local gaming store, or do I want to buy them at the event? And I was like, I don't necessarily know what the exact dimensions of the cards are right now, so I don't want to buy a sleeve for something that's not going to fit.
Yeah, and then you order, like, you spend like £20 or something, or $20 on a set of 100 card sleeves or something, and then bada bing, bada boom, $20 down the drain or £20 down the drain, and because they don't bloody fit.
But you know that they're going to upcharge you when you are actually at the event.
100%. That's a given.
Yeah.
That's just business. Okay, all right. I would move on to the next part of the podcast, but I unfortunately don't have any of it done. So normally in the next few episodes, here is where a news section is going to be. It would be like all the updates, all the kind of stuff like that. But I have recently uploaded a video about news and stuff. Actually, I don't know if it's up by the time this will be up, but if not, there will be one. So we'll start that next episode. Anything else to add before wrap it up?
Not really. Thanks for having me on the podcast and everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was fun discussing staples and trash, and going over some of the upcoming events. I'm really excited about the state of the game and where things are going to go.
Same. I can't lie. I'm very excited to see how things will pan out in about a year's time.
Yeah.
A lot more sets. We'll have 2 more colours in by then, hopefully. A lot more cards. But yes, so real quick, normally this podcast will last an hour. But the first episode is going to be 30 odd minutes. I don't know how long we've been going for right now. Probably about half hour, something like that. But yeah, the normal podcast will be an hour long from this point on, because this was more of a sort of trial run just to see what it was like, see how and what I do with it. But yes, so if you are listening on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, go comment, go rip us to shreds in the comments, I guess. And then look out for the second one in however long it will be. If you are listening to Spotify, then I don't really know how Spotify works, to be fair. So if there's comments or if you save the playlists or whatever, then thank you. I can't obviously thank you for listening to this on Spotify if you are, but I would always recommend listening to this on YouTube because there is video assistance. So whilst we were doing Staple and Trash, the cards would be on the screen so you could read along with us. But for all the actual just audio listeners, then thank you for still listening and putting up with my voice. But yeah, all right. So don't really know how to end the podcast.
Well, thanks again for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Like that, I guess. I'll catch you guys in a bit.
Yo!